What's up, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson here with Inside Arkansas and the Pod at the Palace, back for another episode of the Hoop Hogs video mailbag series where you ask a question and I answer it. If it's related to Arkansas basketball, we're going to make a little bit of an exception here because today's question is about someone who was formerly involved with Arkansas basketball. Honcho Razorback 2 says, how will Eric Musselman, do this year at USC? Hey, listen, I'm answering the question here. Okay. If you guys don't want to hear about Eric Musselman, blame Honcho because he asked the question. But what I will say in all seriousness off the top is I hope Muss does well. I really do. And I know that the situation was weird the way it ended. It was a bad season. There was just some real awkward stuff with, Musselman's radio silence, and you're hearing his name thrown out there with all these other jobs, the Hunter Yurachek social media stuff. It was all very, very strange. And I think it wound up souring, and there's fault with both parties. But what was a really successful time frame for Arkansas basketball. Appreciate Muss for everything that he did for the program. And honestly, he was great to me. And I wish him all the success in the world. We always kind of knew that there were a certain handful of jobs that would probably really, really entice him. They were all out on the West Coast, and USC was always at the top of that list. So he got the opportunity to go back home, and he took it, and we'll see. In terms of how I think they're going to do, Joe Lunardi has USC projected in the next four out. So basically he has a bubble team on the outside looking in. But if you look at the Big Ten, he's got 10 teams projected, and they're obviously USC in its first season in the Big Ten. So they would be outside of the top 10 in the league in his projections. We'll see. Now, I am looking forward to watching them just because of familiarity's sake, catching some of those, late night. Well, I guess in the Big Ten games, it's going to be a little bit weird if they're over in Rutgers playing, but if they're at home, it could be some late night competition there. But man, if you think about it, it's not just Muss and Ruda and Todd Lee and Caleb Klein and all the guys who were on the coaching staff who moved over. A lot of familiarity with the players. I think about two guys who were committed to the Razorbacks who theoretically should have been incoming freshmen this year, and Isaiah Elohim and Jalen Shelley. I think about Arkansas's lone transfer edition of the offseason while Muss was still around, and Josh Cohen, the big man out of UMass. I think about a guy like Wesley Yates, who Arkansas recruited heavily a couple years ago in Layden Blocker's class, and he wound up going to Washington. Now he's over there with Eric Musselman at USC. I think about guys that I just talked to throughout the portal process this past offseason, like a Bryce Pope, for example. Muss got that guy. Terrence Williams, a guy who me and Scotty talked about a ton out of Michigan, who we kind of profiled as, it kind of fits the mold of the type of transfer Muss will go after. Well, he winds up with him at USC. So a lot of familiarity there, and I'm looking forward to watching them. Now, it looks like Eric Musselman finally has a roster with some shooting on it. Thanks for figuring that out now, my man. No, in all seriousness, they had a roster that profiled with a lot of shooting last year. Just for whatever reason, they couldn't make them. So we'll see if this team at USC is an exception to the rule there. In a lot of ways, it's built interestingly for a Big Ten that plays a lot of traditional style of basketball, a lot of more traditional big men. He's going to have to play small ball and go up tempo. It's a very guard and wing heavy roster. He's got some really good players, though, man. Some transfers that I really liked. I think about St. Thomas from Northern Colorado. He was one that I really wanted Arkansas to be on. Might have been a Razorback if Muss was still around. Desmond Cloud, really, really good guard who had a good season at Xavier. Chibuzo Agbo out of Boise State, one of those kind of hybrid, maybe undersized power forwards who just really gets it done. Some players there I really appreciate, but Josh Cohen is their only five. He really is. So they're going to have to play some small ball 5-guard lineups to get it done. And we'll see how that plays in the Big Ten. He's going to have to bring a different style of play there, but it's going to be fun to watch, no doubt about it. Here's what I'll say about Eric Musselman, though, is we know that he can flip a roster and he can flip it in a hurry. I think he's got more transfers than he has scholarships. Again, maybe at USC this year, it was insane the amount of turnover on that roster and what they've got coming in. It's going to take time to gel. So I would imagine, like those Arkansas teams of the past, they're going to hit their bumps along the way. They'll probably have a rough stretch early in Big Ten play. But with the exception of last year at Arkansas, man, his team's always figured it out, and they were playing their best ball at the end of the season. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if his team does this at USC this season. If I had to put a number on it, I would say with Eric Musselman's track record of winning, I think 8 out of 9 seasons as a college head coach, he's won at least 20 games. I would imagine USC gets close to or above that 20 win mark, and they're probably going to be a team that's on the bubble and maybe going into that Big Ten conference tournament thinking, okay, do we need to win a couple games here to solidify ourselves with a spot in the big dance? What if USC gets in and they get in as one of those 12 seeds, or they got to go to the first 4 and they win a game and then they face a 5 seed Arkansas? Or what if they go on a little bit of one of those Eric Musselman runs where they pop off a win? Let's say they're a 12 and they knock off a 5 and they face a 4 seed Arkansas in the second round. Could you imagine in year 1 of the John Calipari era at Arkansas, the Eric Musselman era at USC, if you got that matchup in an NCAA tournament game? It'd be must-see TV, but I got to tell you, I'd be nervous, man. Wouldn't want to watch it because for whatever reason, Eric Musselman has a way of he just finds ways in those short turnarounds to win games in the NCAA tournament. And man, we'd never be able to hear the end of it if he was able to get that win over Cal and the Hogs. But you best believe if I had to pick it, I'd be picking the Razorbacks to get it done. So won't spend too much time on it because I know people have moved on, but it is interesting to think about as much as, I talk about it all the time. It's like, man, Big Blue Nation, those Kentucky fans, they're still just so obsessed with John Calipari and what he's got going on. He was there for 15 years. I get it. It's different. Eric Musselman was at Arkansas for 5 years, did a lot of good things for the program. It ended weird. But like I said, I wish him all the success in the world moving forward. And, USC, maybe they're going to become my adopted non-SEC team that I like to follow and root for. Wish him a lot of success, and we'll see how they do this year. But going to get out of here. Again, if you have any questions at all, Arkansas basketball related, scheduling, Coach Cal, individual players, how things shake out in the SEC, recruiting, whatever, doesn't matter. Respond to the thread that I've got pinned in my profile at Twitter. Hit up the YouTube comments, throw a DM out there, whatever, and I'll make sure to get to it with the video response. We're doing one a day. We post them every morning, and the goal here is to see if we can do one up until opening night for Razorback basketball season. We still got quite a few to get to. But I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys. As always, make sure you get subscribed to our Inside Arkansas YouTube channel. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pod at the Palace, and we will catch you guys very, very soon.